of how the
Hello, America. How are you? This is Merle Jarrett again. I want to talk to you about euros and oil. There's been a plan in play for a little while now, and this dates all the way back to Henry Kissinger and the time that he was going around the Middle East trying to generate peace. Now, the fact of the matter is in America, they wanted to do their oil, and apparently our national oil companies cite the cost of everything in this country concerning it. We tell them what we're going to pay for a barrel of oil, and they simply subject themselves to it. Now, from what I understand from everything that I've been studying, and I've been grilling myself on this to make sure that I try to get my facts straight as close as possible, because I'm really big on fact and issue, and if I don't have the facts, then I won't just jump off and ramble unless, of course, it's points. Usually I give myself points that I'm just going to run off on and run at the mouth. I really don't want to do that because I've taken the time to really write a considerate speech that I think I'm going to try to stick to the guidelines of. And it says, why are we forgiving foreign debt? It's a great question. The United States, around the globe, Alan Greenspan was just as guilty of it. We're forgiving international debt. This is money that we loan to foreign nations. And you as the taxpayer and me as the taxpayer are paying off these national debts. Why is America going in the hole? Gee, I wonder why. It has a lot to do with oil, large corporate oil, not big oil. This is corporate oil, which includes our president and his family. This links into Hugo Chavez, Muammar Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, who's now deceased. The length of the paperwork that points out large conspiracy plans within the plans of the war machine and what schemes they are, well, I laid around begging for more brain matter to contemplate the larger picture. Well, with a couple of pieces of information and a global war, I finally have the knowledge I have sought since the September 11th, that fateful day I sunk into a pit of depression. Like most Americans, I didn't know then what I know now. And the fact of the matter is there's a lot more to it. This sort of jumps back to, I'm doing it in front of an audience today, so I'm a little bit nervous. This all jumps back to Henry Kissinger. He went around Europe, or the Middle East, and told them how much oil they had, and said that they would pay them in U.S. dollars. The U.S. dollars, and they would speculate the price. The average barrel of oil to pull out of the ground in the Middle East costs about $4. So why is it jumping up to 50? There's a gentleman on my favorites list by the name of Lindsey Williams, who happens to have been a very smart man, who worked in the Alaskan oil projects, was very close to some corporate officers there, who happened to have brought about the way that everyone understands now. He showed me the light. I took off on his books and did some research of my own, and apparently here's the underlying plan, and a lot of you are going to be shocked. The oil treaties that we agreed to with all of these third world nations, which are now first-rate nations, including Saudi Arabia with their money and their power and their prestige, were as a result of Saddam Hussein and Colonel Muammar Gaddafi not signing into this agreement, and they chose to sell theirs on a global market, because prior to the invasion of Iraq, there were actually two oil markets which I knew about. One of them was what was sold to the United States. Of course, with Iraq selling its oil, Russia got a slice of it. They were part of our trade agreement. And then, of course, France got a slice of it, and they were part of our trade agreement, which is why they were in such a quandary over our invasion, because they knew now at this point they'd be sliced out of it, which I don't blame them. Anytime there's a good deal going on, you get cut out of it, even though you set up and arrange for everything. The next thing you know, you're cut out of it, and you have every reason to be upset. Well, now, Russia has its own oil wells, and they have some of the largest pools of oil ever found, and apparently America has even larger pools, which they're not telling you about. The North Shore, or the North Face in Alaska, they found 3 of the largest oil reserves, which they're not telling you about, which in fact could reduce the price of oil in America to $1.50 a gallon at the pump. This is post-refinement. But the United States government has ordered that this be kept quiet, that the American people are not to know about it, because in fact it could defeat our dollar. It could absolutely crush the American dollar, because as we go to the pump and we spend $3 and $4 a gallon, the fact of the matter is that $3 and $4 a gallon, part of that money, part of their profit margin, goes to pay off the national deficit, which is why we as Americans can forgive all this debt, but we really can't forgive all this debt. So the fact of the matter is we're going to get back into your pockets, and we're going to start taking our money back, because this is America. Our government has no right to take our money and give it to you in the first place for whatever your ambition, unless of course it's an internet or a national emergency for your nation, and you need money to help rebuild after a natural disaster or something to that effect. Fine, we'll be glad to help you in the event, because we are humanitarians here in this country. We do think that the whole world should be a peaceful place to live as citizens, but our government is crushing any hope or happening of it. Now, the thing that I found out that was most alarming, that Muammar Gaddafi, his plan, which is a brilliant plan, actually, he is going to turn around and take his oil and sell it on the international market, which is not the American market, is the international market, and he's going to sell it in euros instead of dollars, which is part of the reason why we're pushing to invade Iran. It has nothing to do with his WMDs. It has nothing to do with his human rights policy, but it has everything to do with oil. So moving on from that, the next piece. What if, and I'm just a citizen, but what if I promise no more bloodshed, no more world powers, and most importantly, world peace? Mr. Bush referred to the Constitution as little more than a piece of paper. A piece of paper. The cornerstone of our free society was instantly reduced and discredited, then itself disenfranchised. He did this in the matter of just a couple of words that I found absolutely alarming. So with that, there was a point to it. If Iran, the third largest oil field, and Iraq, then the second largest oil field, will hold no more punches from this moment forward, I'm done. Because I'm directly going to start indicting people, and if it gets me arrested, so be it. Because I'm sick and tired of this. On Bill Maher, the governor of Alaska, pointed out, and he was sworn to secrecy, so you already know that he shouldn't have said what he said. But the fact of the matter is if a halfway reasonable person were listening, then they would have heard it. That the north face of Alaska has more oil than all of the Middle East combined. But if we were to take that oil and sell it on the market, again, it's another threat to potentially defeat the dollar. He was ordered to repress the information. In true American fashion, this loyal patriot pointed out, we have the 3 pools of oil in Alaska, larger than anything in the Middle East. That means the next 200 years of oil in this country could be secured. Now, I don't want to pump oil for any reason, because we now have means of alternative fuel energies that could save this entire country without anyone else's outside help. So the total, at this point, I am setting you up for a large blow. No one of us as Americans could have seen coming, with the exception of those in the know. Right now in our Congress, we could, in the wording of a bill, to move to 1. Ask the United Nations for a peacekeeping force to steady the region and prepare for U.S. withdrawal in Iraq. First we can, but our next president will do it just the same. And they're going to say, oh, well, you know, this president was the great big peacemaker that brought about peace in the Middle East. When the fact of the matter is everyone in the know already knows what's going on, and they're ready to turn around on this nation and just absolutely defeat us, because the money that's out there flowing around in our country, guess what? It isn't worth the paper it's printed on. It's not. We used to have a gold-backed dollar. We moved away from it because we had a particular president, and like I said, I don't want to shoot names at anyone, with the exception of Henry Kissinger, a true traitor to the United States, was not born here. Stabilize Afghanistan and give them their own government. I was for the invasion of Afghanistan because I saw what those people were going through. What they had there was little more than punks running around with machine guns, dominating people, raping, killing, murdering, taking over land. They didn't even have the foresight to pump for oil. They just assumed steal, because pumping for oil just seemed like too much work, and using a gun seemed like just about the right amount of work to go and steal whatever they wanted, including rape, pillage, and murder. Remove oil from the corporations. America, oil in this country is a national treasure. We need to declare it a national treasure, kick BP out, kick Ashland out, kick them all out, and tell them, you know what? This is America's reserve. This is not your private industry. It has now become America's reserve. And I'm going to move back to the fact that America as a nation, we need to file for bankruptcy. Because if we change our bankruptcy law back, none of these banks or none of these global pressures, we have enough natural resources in this country that we can still remain the global power. We need to pull all of our troops back into this country right away so that we can defend ourselves. We need to declare Mexico as a potential territory state, start collecting revenue off the imports from foreign countries that we're otherwise missing out on. And I have just a couple of seconds left. Colonel Gaddafi, do what you must, buddy, because if you think you're going to crush the dollar and crush the American people under the weight of it, you're wrong. Because we are American people, we have the spirit, and we're going to fight. No matter if it's bullets or with peace, we'll do it. because this is America and you have no slice of us. Thanks, America.